Hello, everyone, and welcome to the April edition of our Catch Up with Keeper webinar series. We already have a ton of people in the room, so thank you all so much for joining us. For the Americans in the room, I hope you all had an easy, busy season. And for the Canadians in the room, I wish you luck on the last day of your tax season, if any of you are even here. We will typically give people a couple of minutes to file on in here. So while we're waiting, we'd love if people could drop on into the chat and let us know where you're calling in from. I'm going to also turn off my background blur. Love to see all the places where keeper customers come from. All right. Well, we're two past the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get things started. In case this is your first Catch Up with Keeper webinar, first of all, welcome. So the way these work is there's two main sections, and then sometimes there's a third. So two main sections are first, I'm going to walk through all of the latest updates in our Catch Up with Keeper, that we shipped to Keeper over the course of the last month. And then I will open things up to some Q&A. For the Q&A component, if you wouldn't mind, please drop your questions into the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen in Zoom. That'll make sure we get to them. We will try to look at the chat, but no guarantees there. So if you want your question answered, please drop it in the Q&A. All right. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get things started. Okay. All right. We're going to kick things off with some improvements to tasks in general, and specifically tasks on the task list. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over there. And the first, move my control panel out of the way. The first update I'm excited to talk about here on the task list is a subtle one, but an important one. This button, go to close, is now right-clickable. So you can, instead of, if you see a task and you want to go to the client list, go to that task's close page, you can actually right-click this and open it in a new tab, or control or command click it, depending on which operating system you're in. And that will actually take you directly to the close page. That way you can open up multiple different tabs, depending on what you want to work on, and then come back to the task list and not have lost your place. But in addition to being able to more easily get into new windows, you can actually do more within this window as well. And that's because we now added the ability for you to open up your full task right here from the task list. So a few things you'll see here. First is you'll see all of the full details of anything that might be on this task. That includes files, that includes comments, that includes your checklist items, any descriptions. So this really is the task like you'd be looking at it on the close page. The one difference here is we don't pull in QuickBooks or Xero data here. So if you have review the profit and loss, you're not going to be able to review the profit and loss right from the task list. We do also show you who your preparer, reviewer, and managers are on this task in the close. So a lot of fun stuff that you can do here to now work right from the task list instead of needing to use the task list as a starting point and then dive into the close. One more nice thing I'll mention here is you've got this copy URL button, and that will let you copy and paste a URL directly to that task. And if you go to that task here, this actually will do the same thing as that right click I did earlier. You'll see it takes you directly to that task on the close page. So this is great if you wanted to just copy a link to a task and send it to a team member in Slack or Teams, whatever non-Keeper chat system you may use. So you could just grab the link and send it right to someone. Okay. One other thing I will mention that is here, I'm going to just show it here on the task list, but it is anywhere. And that is we added the ability to reorder finally these sections on the tasks. So these checklist groups, you can see I have these groups built out. If I wanted to reorder them, you just hover over the title of the section, and then move to the left, and you'll see this drag handle right here. And then you can drag and drop it to wherever you want. So you've always been able to reorder the checklist items, but now we added the ability to reorder the checklists themselves. Okay. And then one more update I will show here, although it is not specifically related to the tasks themselves. It's related to the files that are attached to them, and specifically Excel and CSV files. And that's because you can now preview them right here in Keeper instead of needing to download them as a file to view on your computer. So this is not read write, it is still read only, but this is super helpful, especially if you're, for example, working on reviewing all of the supporting statements for your account reconciliations, for example. If some of those are CSVs or spreadsheets, you can now scroll through and see what you're looking for. So here we might be looking for an ending balance without needing to download that and pull it open on your computer. All right. And with that, I am going to now go to the close and talk about some file review specific improvements. All right. First things first, this one flew a little under the radar on our change log because we had so many changes over the last month. But this is one that I am particularly excited about because you can now, in these similar historical transactions, edit any expenses that have multiple line items. So this is something that if you ran into it, it was super frustrating. So now it should no longer be frustrating. You've always been able to edit single line transactions here, right from the similar historical transactions table. But now if you see something that has multiple line items in your similar historical transactions, this is especially true for Canadians. I know many of y'all have all of your transactions will show up as multiple lines in Keeper. So you can now just click that and it will open up your transaction line items and you can edit anything here as well. If we wanted to change this from insurance to office supplies, for example, we could do that and it will make that change right here. All right. Next change I'm excited to talk about is our new P&L customizations. And that is I've spoiled this a little bit, but you now have the ability to create your own custom P&L and balance sheet and save the configurations there. So for example, if you wanted to create a new P&L by class that you always run as part of your monthly closing checklist, you can do your P&L, and then instead of aggregating by month, we're going to aggregate by class. For 1 month, we're not going to show the variances. We're going to name this the P&L by class 1 month. Save that as a report. And now here we've got our P&L by class. And this will always stay the same and will carry over to future closes as well. One more cool tidbit, this is also accessible from your templates. So if you have a template and you want to bulk apply in all of your to all of your clients, P&L by class or P&L last 12 months, for example, you can do that right here from your templates and then apply that into all of your clients. All right. And speaking of P&L improvements, for some of you, I know this has been something that you have been eagerly awaiting. And so that is now here. We added the ability to export this profit and loss as a CSV. So this is especially valuable if you wanted to give your clients the sort of full customer and vendor level breakdown on the P&L. You just click this export to CSV option. And if we open that up here, you'll see we now have the full P&L balance sheet broken out here by whatever we chose to show or hide. So whatever aggregations will work, P&L by class as well. And you can see that full amount. One thing to note is this is a CSV, and CSVs do not have formatting embedded into them. So if you do want to add formatting, I recommend saving this as a XLSX file. So just a couple of quick formatting changes, and you should be able to save that if you want to. All right. And last, but certainly not least, we updated these pickers. This is a super subtle change, but an important one nonetheless. I can't believe it took us this long to do it. These pickers are now ordered in the order of your, like in the order that you were used to seeing accounts in your chart of accounts. So it will run down your balance sheet bank accounts, AR, other current assets, fixed assets, et cetera, all your income accounts, then all your COGS accounts. So previously, I think this was alphabetical. So it didn't really make any sense. And most people would just search for their chart of accounts anyways, but now you should be able to scroll down your chart of accounts the way you would expect this to work in a chart of accounts picker. All right, so that is it for the final review improvements for this month. I have one other small quality of life improvement on the client communications, and that is in your non-transaction questions. If you ask your client a question and they respond, you can now, and they respond and you need to add a follow-up, you can now add that follow-up and simultaneously check this notify client button. And when you click save, this will add the follow-up question and instantly email your client. So that the email it will send is the new questions for you in the portal email. So if you customize that accordingly, that's what it will send here as well. So this already exists on the inbound questions. So if you respond to a question here, you can check this notify client button, and we are just moving it to your non-transaction questions here as well. All right. A couple more groups of improvements. Next is on to receipts. So here in our receipts transaction files, a couple of nice improvements. One is you can now filter to just show. Whoops. This has been happening, I think, in my version of the browser on like all websites I've been using. I'm not sure if anyone has been experiencing this. It just like inconsistently crashes. Anyways, so you can now filter for only transactions where a match is found, and that way you can go through and match all the transactions that are relevant and then go work on coding. So a little bit of a workflow improvement there to just streamline transaction processing that much further. And next is one that I actually don't believe I can show here, so I don't have an example. But for those of you who've been using receipts and you've been seeing like logos pop up as individual distinct files, so if you have a client and they have like an image in their signature and they you have a back and forth and you forward the back and forth and the signature image shows up as like 5 separate attachments. We have now fixed that issue. So if you were seeing like tons and tons of spurious attachments show up, those should no longer be showing up. They'll instead just get wrapped up into the body of the email, and it'll be sort of PDF'd as a single attachment. All right. And now on to the set of changes we made to the client portal, and specifically the client portal login. You can now fully custom brand this. So this can have your logo, your color scheme, and an announcement here. So I have put whatever announcement I want here. If you want to enable this, if you haven't already, you go to your practice settings, client portal, and then branding. And then here in your branding, you've got your white label settings here. It will pull the same practice logo that you use, but you can also upload now a favicon. So you can see that will control what your clients see in this top left-hand corner. It's another nice little bit of personalization. You can preview what this portal is going to look like if you click client login right here. And then on the announcements, you go to your client portal announcements. You can turn on the client login page announcement. And then, of course, we have always had the existing client portal announcement. One small update to the client portal announcement here as well. We now added rich text, so you can bold, you can add URLs, you can put pictures in here. And of course, we have this new client portal login page announcement, which is where you can put helpful reminders, or we've seen some really cool, inspiring things in the Facebook group already of people putting just like generic welcome messages. So whatever you want to greet your clients with when they are logging into the portal, you can do that right here. Some of you have custom built tutorials of how to use the portal. That's a pretty good thing to drop in here as well. All the more helpful to give your clients the ability to log in and answer your questions. And with that, I will turn over to your questions here, because those are all the updates. Okay. All right. First question is, will there ever be the ability to add tasks from the Keeper Chrome extension? Definitely, that is something that we're working on. We do have a bunch of upgrades in the works for the Keeper Chrome extension, and that is one of them. Kate asked, can you add a transaction line item if it didn't already have a split? So I assume this was in reference to the editing in the historicals table. If you not actually, there's not actually currently a good way to do that today from the similar historical table. That's an interesting point. So here you're just going to have the ability to edit, although you can edit and add multiple lines to existing transactions. So it looks like we need to add that to the similar historical transactions as well. Okay. Can the P&L be run by customer and saved? It's an interesting question. You can't actually run the P&L by customer here. So yeah, I believe we just have class and location. If you have customer on, I don't believe we support that just yet. Definitely something we should add and can add. One funny side note here is it is available in your metrics, so you can run a P&L by customer. Let's see. I think I may need to enable class customers here. Yeah, so you can actually run a filtered P&L by customer in your metrics. You just can't do it on the close page yet. So you can definitely add that to the close page. Someone asked, can I add a P&L by class in the financial reports I send to a client? The answer to this is yes. So if you are in your reporting here, you choose columns by, and we have month here, calendar quarter, fiscal quarter, but then class here is another option. So if you choose that, it will run your P&L by class. Heather asked if we plan on bringing the P&L broken down at the vendor and customer summary level into your reports here as well. It is definitely something that we are planning to add in a few different ways, both here in your static management reporting, as well as eventually something more dynamic in the client portal, but nothing I can immediately share about that just yet. Okay. Heather asked about the saving the report customizations by class with zero clients. I don't believe that feature is just yet ready for zero. We have some major upgrades in the works planned for it, zero's P&L and balance sheet, but I don't believe that feature has made it yet into zero. Okay. Next question here is the best approach for a client who purchases and sells real estate. Okay. Not quite sure how to answer this question here, but I will take a piece of it here that I think is relevant. Does the incomplete non-closing task roll over to the next month? That's a great question, and the answer is yes. So if I go back to a close page here, if you see all of these non-closing tasks, they are not tied to the close you're working on. So if you're in June and you roll to July, all of these incomplete non-closing tasks will still show up in whatever close you're working on. That's even true if you go backwards. So if you go back to like December 2022, for example, or December 2023, you're still going to see the same set of incomplete non-closing tasks. So it's only the closing tasks right here that are coupled to the close specifically. So for example, if you have some information you're waiting on from your client and you are putting that as a task in your non-closing tasks, you are still going to be able to see that. Kate asked when a non-transaction question is resolved, I noticed it is not available to the client even as a resolved question. That is correct. We are working on an option to let you show resolved transaction and non-transaction questions in the portal. But today, all resolved questions are hidden from the portal. Juan asked any update on when Zero's client will receive the receipts feature. I don't have a specific ETA. I know we are turning the corner on some of the big pieces of receipts in QBO. And once we get there, then we will be ready to add it for Zero as well. Okay, another question here. When will we be able to add a report to the financials and have it become part of the package? Not quite sure I understand this question. So Shalin, if you want to add some more clarity here, I will answer it in a follow-up. Okay, another question here for someone joining late. Will there be a recording available? The answer is yes. We put it on our YouTube channel, typically day of, but at the very least by Thursday. And we'll also send that out as a follow-up email in our Thursday update. Okay, Lane asked, I need to add subfolders to non-closing tasks, for example, weekly pay stubs. My recommendation here would actually not be to upload those to tasks, but it would instead be to use our custom folders. So for example, if you had pay stubs that you wanted to deliver in the custom folders, you can click add folder here, and then you could do pay stubs, for example, as a folder. And then in that folder, you can add a subfolder here that is, let's say, I don't know, week 1, week 2, and so on. Maybe you could nest those into a 2024, for example, or 2023. But so you can have subfolders, but only within custom files at this time. Okay, Cindy asked if we have a actual versus the budget versus the prior year. Does Keeper have this option? And if not, will we provide it? The answer is definitely we do want to improve our reporting. That does seem like something that is relatively straightforward to add. So not something we have today, but definitely makes sense as an improvement for our reporting. Okay, Amy asked, how can my clients see documents that they have uploaded in their portal after we have classified them? It's a great question. This is one of the biggest things we still need to improve about receipts. There is not a way for for the client to still see their existing receipts after you have posted them. So once you post them, they'll go into your transaction files or your posted transaction files, but that is not yet available to your clients. Melissa asked, are you currently working on a toggle switch for those of us with multiple logins? It is something that we are doing some preliminary investigation on. We know many of y'all may do subcontracting for people with multiple Keeper accounts. So it is something that we're starting to work on, and definitely something we will eventually have. So no specific ETA I can share on that at this time. Okay. So Shalin, thank you for the clarification. So it was adding a sort of single PDF sort of inserted, or a single report inserted into the existing Keeper report. So I know this is a big request of a lot of customers. I don't have a specific ETA on it, but definitely something that we are looking into. Rachel asked, will changing the report date ranges change the variances, for example, year to date or prior year month? Just to use that to sort of quickly explain how these variances work. The variances here are relevant, or it's comparing the final column here, so in this case, June 2022, to the preceding two columns. So here we have 54,000, and that's comparing that against the average of 35,849 and 39,233. So if we change that to, let's say, the full 12 months, the variance is going to recalculate. It is still going to look at June 2022, that same 54,000, but it is instead going to compare the average of all of these numbers from July 2021 to May 2022. And so that will change this, this variance indicator. Okay. A bunch of feature requests coming in here as questions. So just looking at these, we'll go sort of rapid fire here. Any chance for expanded user settings? I can create a template and see user tasks. We are definitely working on a broader permission sets upgrade. So yes, hopeful that we can add some expanded user settings in the future. It's definitely a large process because by definition, permissions touch everything. So we are working on it, but it's going to take a little time. Greg asked for an ETA on editing products and services or adding products and services in receipts. I don't have a specific ETA on this, but I know it is one of the big feature requests that we're working on in receipts. Natasha asked if there is a way to record audio in your client questions. So adding essentially a voice memo. Some things need explanation with words and not text. This is the first I have heard of a request like this, but definitely, if you wouldn't mind making a candy for this, would love to see how broadly this is something that people need. Okay, Carmen asked, my rep let me know that Xero only supports accrual at this time. What does that mean exactly? So that means in QuickBooks, you have the ability in Keeper to set whether it's cash or accrual basis. This primarily just affects how the profit and loss and balance sheet get rendered. So we are working on some upgrades to the P&L and balance sheet in Xero in the first place, and that's going to tie into the upgrades to allow you to see cash basis reporting as well in Xero. Patricia asked for W-9 requests. Is there a way to individually edit the request email before it goes out to a particular vendor? The answer is not at this time. It is going to send the stock email if you add a request. So if you want to send something different, I would just recommend unchecking the email vendor box and sending a manual email. Carmen asked if there's any way to see the client properties on the task view. The answer is not yet, although that is another thing that we are looking at as an expanded set of functionality on the task list. Melissa asks, is there a way to export the duplicate vendors and duplicate customers reports? Not yet, but definitely something that we could work on. Lisa asked, are we working on a Google Calendar integration of tasks? It's not something we are actively working on today, but definitely something we could explore. Another anonymous attendee asked, is there a way to create a P&L by customer report in the report package for clients? There is not at this time, but we can definitely add that. Carmen asked if there is any update on the Outlook integration. The answer is Yes, but I can't provide an ETA. We're working on a slightly different path to supporting an Outlook integration, but very optimistic that that is going to ship in the relatively near future. Okay. Kate asked if I could demo what is currently available in the Chrome extension. I would be happy to. So in the Chrome extension, there's two main ways you can access the Chrome extension. The first is from this top right-hand corner by clicking the extension itself. You can do this anywhere on any site. If you don't see this in the top right-hand corner, make sure you have the extension installed. But if you do have the extension installed, click this puzzle piece icon and then make sure it's also pinned here as well. So just to go to a different website that's not Keeper as well, you can click this here. And this, let's say you wanted to ask DemoCo a question. So you can choose DemoCo right here. You can click Add Question, and that will let you ask a non-transaction question that will put that in your client's portal. You can also do things like upload an attachment here, specify the question here. And one thing that I don't know that very many people know is you can actually screenshot and then paste in data from that screenshot with this workflow. So you can take a screenshot like this, click the Chrome extension, click Add Question, add the attachment, and then paste it. And then if I paste this, here's a screenshot. What is this for? Obviously very contrived. And then I ask that question in the client portal. We go to our demo co and non-transaction questions. You can see that file here as well that we took a screenshot of. So that's probably the easiest way to like ask your client about a screenshot that I'm aware of. The other things you can do here as well, if you want to see more information or update some information about your client, you can click Client Info. That will let you see the properties, details, notes, and files all tied to this particular client. And then you can update this data here as well. So if you wanted to take a quick note, make sure it's there for your client on the fly, you can do that right from here. All right. So those are some of the Chrome extension features you can access from anywhere. But we take a one more step up when you actually open the Chrome extension inside of QBO. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that open here. All right, so the first thing you'll notice is this client info button now shows up at the top. So you don't even have to click right here. It's the same information you can access from the Chrome extension, but you can now also see that right here just from the client info button. And of course, you can edit data there as well. But probably the best feature about the Chrome extension is it lets you ask questions, transaction questions, directly from the bank feed. So for example, let's say we've got this GitHub transaction, and it's the first time we're seeing it, but maybe we worked with some tech companies before, so we're familiar with what GitHub is, but we want to like ask our clients for confirmation. So here, what we could do is we can code this however we like. So we can say this is GitHub. Maybe we're going to say this is software. We don't need to add a customer to it. And let's say we want to add the engineering class. So we can actually code this how we think it should be coded, and then we can ask our clients a question. If you have assignable questions enabled, you're also able to assign questions from here as well. Of course, we can use the standard pre-filled question templates here as well, but we can also just type our own question. Like we classify GitHub to software. Does that look right to you? Add that as a question. One thing it's important to note, you can't just leave it sitting here in the bank feed. You do still need to add the question. And then once you add the question, it will post the transaction to the ledger and then also post the question to the portal. And then now if we go back here to the portal, refresh our page here, we can see that GitHub transaction that we asked about. We can see the specific question our clients can respond here. And then that also lives here in our client communication in our transaction questions. So we've got that GitHub transaction here as well. So yeah, those are the primary things that are available to the Chrome extension right now. We are working on some other upgrades not to get too ahead of myself, but someone else mentioned tasks. Tasks will eventually be coming to the Chrome extension. Time tracking, also something that would make a whole lot of sense in the Chrome extension. And then some deeper integrations to QBO as well, are all things that we're working on from the extension. Okay. Nika asked, how do you install the Chrome extension? Shayna put an article on the Keeper Chrome extension here. I'm going to just click that open here. That's in the chat. You can also just search for Keeper Chrome extension right here. But at the top of this link here, Keeper's Chrome extension, that will take you to the web store link. I already have it installed, so this says remove from Chrome, but if you don't have it installed, this will say add to Chrome. You just click add to Chrome right there. And then one more thing to make sure to do is to sign in. So because the Chrome extension uses your Keeper data, you'll need to click it the first time. And then here, I'll log out so I can show. You will still need to click sign in. Here, let me refresh the page here. Log out. So you'll still need to log in first and then log in again. So you're logging into not only Keeper in your browser, but also Keeper in the extension, which is sort of like a different thing. It's the best way I can explain it. And then you should be good to use the extension. Adrian asked, any update on the Keeper training module or Keeper Academy? I'm sure Shayna is thrilled to see that question. We are definitely working on a bunch of training resources that we're starting to just put out there so that anyone has access, and then we're going to recompile them together into a single training module. So definitely expect to see more of that in the coming months and quarters.
Yeah, quick update on that. We're actually going to be starting with a getting started YouTube playlist. I know we have some Keeper YouTube videos out there already, but we're looking to add some that are kind of interactive and fun on the basics of Keeper. Those should be published, honestly, within the next couple of days. So keep your eye out, and we'll keep building on the rest of our resources as well.
And I will also go ahead and drop that YouTube channel into the link or into the chat. So that's our YouTube channel if you want to go ahead and subscribe. That's also where we post these recordings. So getting a little meta on ourselves. But that's our YouTube channel. Bonnie asked, does the extension work when using Chrome in incognito? It's a little bit of a question mark. I know there are some issues that some users experience when they try using Keeper in incognito. So if it looks weird, incognito is a sort of little bit of a different environment. You can try it. No guarantees. So I know this is something that we're still testing, but if you want to try it, if you go to details, you have to enable allow in incognito to see it at all. Nika asked, where do you access the client portal screen to update your logo? That's one is you do have to have Keeper Premium to custom brand your portal. And assuming you have that, it's in your practice settings, client portal, and branding right here. There you can click upload practice logo. Katie asks, is there a way to have a default contact when there are multiple contacts on a client? We keep sending questions to the wrong person. It's a good point. Not something we have today, definitely something that we can work on adding. Juan asked, when will the Ask Client in the bank feed feature from Keeper be available in 0? I don't have a concrete ETA on that, but it is something that we're working on as part of our broader set of updates to our Chrome extension. Carmen asked, is there a way for the Chrome extension to work in the QBO app? Unfortunately, not that I am aware of. If you figure one out, let me know. But essentially, the way the apps work is they are kind of their own standalone. almost like a browser within an app, but that you cannot install extensions on. So unfortunately, we cannot support the Chrome extension within the QBO app at this time. Okay. It looks like that is all the questions. Okay, one more here. Please add the ability to add attachments or move files to a closed task. This actually is something you can do today. So I will show how. Okay. So if you want to move a transaction to a closed task, let's say it's a closing task here as well. If you see this status column is filtered, so it's filtered to only show your incomplete tasks. If you also select show completed tasks, and let's say we only select show completed tasks, that will show you your completed tasks here, and you can move files to those as well. Okay. Greg asked, do you foresee being able to use Keeper as a Slack type chat alternative with our clients as well as staff? Hard to say if I think it could be a complete replacement for Slack. I think it depends on how you use Slack specifically. I will say Keeper is definitely better as an asynchronous communication tool than a synchronous communication tool. So whereas Slack has lots of features for like, I think a lot of this comes back to expectation setting. So Slack, a lot of the expectations are like you're chatting back and forth, you're both live on the chat app at the same point in time. Keeper definitely can work that way if you set the expectations that that's how you want to work with Keeper. But it's definitely more designed so that people can do the work and then respond to chats more like email. So in the sense that like email and Slack bifurcated for a reason, a lot of that has to do with how you set expectations about communication. And I think that goes true with a tool like Keeper as well. Sort of design trade-offs more than I think fundamental feature limitations, which is not to say that we have no more improvements to make in communications. We definitely do, and we have a lot more coming. But as far as whether it might ultimately be a total replacement for Slack, I think I have maybe more question marks about that just based on how you communicate with your team. So hard for me to say globally an answer to that question. Okay, Carmen asked, I assume any integration with Outlook will also not work in the Outlook desktop version. All of it is gonna at the root depend on how you where your actual Outlook server sits. So if your Outlook server just sits on your desktop, that may be more challenging, but we'll definitely have more to share as we ship more of that functionality. Okay, Brooke asked, we would really like the ability to archive a client. Is there a workaround for that? Two updates on that front. One is I think we can maybe see the light of the tunnel for archiving clients. It's definitely a long tunnel. So hopefully a different update to this question soon. But in the meantime, if you need to disconnect a client so you don't get billed for it, you can write into our chat and we will take care of it there. Okay. That appears to be all the questions. Give people maybe another 15 or 20 seconds here, but I think it's a good list of questions. We're at almost 50 for the Q&A. Okay. Saved by the Bell. Amy has one more question here. Are we working on, or do we have a way to record revenue in the receipts function? Not yet. We are working on that with two different ways. One is recording deposits. So essentially just like cash coding to the particular expense account, or sorry, income account, revenue account. And the other is with products and services. So both of those are in the works. Neither of them are live just yet today, but definitely both are top priority items for improvement in receipts. All right. Well, with that, I will once again thank you all so much for taking the time today to sit here and learn more about what we improved about Keeper and ask great, thoughtful questions about what we can do today and how we can continue to make Keeper better in the future. Once again, these are the last Tuesday of every month. So our next Catch Up with Keeper webinar will be on May 28th, same time, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. Thank you all so much for taking the time. I hope you have a great rest of your April. I hope your April closes will get off to a good start. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any other questions in our intercom chat or with your CSM. All right. Bye, everyone.